Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for another Rocket Matter webinar. My name is Nefra McDonald. I am the Business Development and Strategic Partnership Coordinator here at Rocket Matter. Today's webinar is co-branded with LexCharge Legal Payment Processing, and we're joined by Adam Holden, who is their Director of Sales. Is that right, Adam?
Yes, Nefra, thank you very much. How are you doing today?
Good, it's good to have you here. So together we're going to talk about billing best practices, how to make billing a breeze and collect more money. We really want to get an idea of what's going on in the room and who's here, and any questions that you guys have about any of your billing processes, anything that we're talking about, please throw those into the questions widget on your GoToWebinar control panel, and that will help us guide this conversation. We want this to be as interactive as possible. And so with that, we'll get started. So let's talk about some of the small firm problems that could be contributing to your inefficiencies with billing. 69% of small firms spend too much time on administrative tasks. So what does that look like? That's the kind of stuff that you can't bill clients for. You can clean a lot of this up through tightening up processes and automating processes with the help of technology. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. 62% of small firms find it difficult to control cost and expense growth. That happens as you're growing your firm. Your overhead is going to get larger, whether it's hiring more people or needing more paper or more filing cabinets or a bigger office. All of those things grow as you grow. How do you control those expenses while you grow? We'll talk a little bit about that too. The big one here that we'll really be able to address today is that 54% of small firms suffer from a lack of internal efficiency. And those inefficiencies come from a lack of processes, of people not doing the things that they're supposed to do until right down to the deadline. And this is very true of billing. I have had the privilege of going to a lot of firms over the past few years with Rocket Matter and just seeing how people are collecting their time and trying to piece it together at the end of the month. It's no wonder it takes so much time. So we'll talk today about billing as you work and how easy that is to do with the help of technology. So this is pretty obvious based on what we just saw, that establishing better billing practices is key to growth and profitability. You need to have those practices in place, and it is a practice, right? So you do it every single day, and it's going to continue to get better as time goes on. So let's talk about some of these steps that it takes to get to billing best practices. The first thing that you'll want to do is to set up your invoice templates. And if you're using practice management software, it can really, really help with this. So for example, Rocket Matter has 6 preset invoice templates for you to choose from. And if you don't like those, you can manipulate them yourself or hire one of Rocket Matter's professional services staff to do that for you. And you can personalize that invoice by adding your logo and changing up some of the colors. And then if your clients want to see specific line items, you can add those merge fields to your standard invoice, or you can upload a custom invoice that you can apply to the matters that need them. This is a helpful feature for firms with multiple practice areas, but this is also your first impression for your clients. An invoice is a lot of your communication with your clients when you're not face-to-face with them. So that invoice better look good, it better be really clear. Make sure your billing descriptions are actually descriptive of the work that you're doing in layman's terms for your clients, because again, it's a way to communicate and it's a way to make good impressions that let your clients know that you're adding value. Second step for billing best practices, enable invoice sharing for your clients. So when you add a matter into our system, you can easily just ask your client for approval to email the invoice rather than sending it through snail mail. So this is a key element in driving down those overhead and administrative costs. Think about how much time it takes to print all of your invoices for all of your clients, stuff them into envelopes, put postage. If you really want to guarantee that that check can come back a little bit quicker, doing self-addressed stamped envelopes. Those are a pain, and they take up a lot of time. Plus postage costs money, envelopes cost money, paper costs money, ink costs money. That person that's standing there doing all of this, they cost money too. Now, I know a lot of you may have clients that may be older, or they insist on getting, that invoice in the mail. And of course, you can accommodate those wishes, but the goal is really to eliminate this extra step of printing and mailing invoices every month. So definitely something to think about. Step 3 is to set up and apply taxes, surcharges, and convenience fees if necessary. So in some states, we're really aware of this. Attorneys' services are subject to state sales tax or use tax, and then possibly local taxes. So those charges add up, and they vary based on where the service is received or where the work is performed. So Rocket Matter allows you to set up unlimited rules for state and local areas where you service your clients. And those rules are flexible enough that you can apply those taxes to selected fees and expenses, or to all of them. And then you can set up the rules on a matter-by-matter basis. So if you've got attorneys that are practicing in multiple areas, or you're servicing clients across your state or multiple states, you can configure this rule. So this will eliminate those manual calculations that you might have had to do at the end of every month. And it also helps with those end-of-year reporting and taxes. So that's one less thing that would be on your plate. Surcharges and convenience fees can also be added onto your invoices automatically using our algorithms at Rocket Matter. And so if you're in a state that allows you to pass on surcharges and calculate maybe convenience fees as an overall overhead expense instead of calculating individual numbers for postage or for paper or storage or phone fees or whatever else you're allowed to pass on to your clients, we've seen attorneys that charge a flat percent, like 2% of any fees billed for that month. And so that would be convenience fees. And the surcharges come along with credit cards if you use them to process your clients' payments, and in some states you are allowed to pass those surcharges on. So Adam will talk to us a little bit more in depth about that, but again, we're in the setup stage, so this is something that if you're going to implement it, this is the time to set that up. Step 4 is to capture time automatically with Bill As You Work technology. One of the things you want to avoid is reconstituting your time at the end of the month by capturing work as you perform it. It's, one thing to go through all of your emails at the end of the month and try to figure out, how much billable time you need to allocate to that, to try to go through your phone logs and see how long you spent on the phone with someone, to look at documents that you generated and try to figure out how long it took you to do that. With Rocket Matter, you're allowed to bill from your tasks, your notes, your documents, your calendar events, phone messages, emails, and more. Anywhere you see a $ in Rocket Matter is an opportunity to bill as you're working. We also have multiple timers, and so as your day goes on, if you're working on one thing and then you get a phone call that interrupts you, you can start another timer and get back to what you were doing later on without losing that time. So the idea is to bill from anywhere without interrupting your workflow, because capturing your time as you work is the easiest way to ensure that you aren't missing time at the end of the month. You want to be able to capture those things, and even if you don't end up billing the client for all of it, you want to include some no charge items on that invoice too, to let them know, hey, I'm doing work for you, but I'm not going to charge you for this. It's a nice touch. Step 5 is to schedule a cutoff period for billing. So if it's just you, this can also be helpful just to keep yourself motivated and on time with sending your invoices every month. If you have multiple people on your staff, the most well-run law firms run their bills at the same time every 30 days. So it's really good to schedule this to keep everyone on task. So when you're ready to bill, you need to identify a cutoff date, usually the same time every month. And it doesn't mean that you and your staff stop adding time for continuing work. Instead, what it means is anything that you need to bill prior to that cutoff date needs to be in the system. And that recurring calendar event in your practice management system will help to notify people of that cutoff date. So that's a good thing to do. Step 6, set up your automated payment emails. So in Rocket Matter, you're allowed to fully customize the text of your automated emails that you send with the invoices that you generate, and they'll also include a link to secure online payment. So we have default emails that we can use, and You can then modify those to your firm's liking. Later on, I'll show you how easy it is to do that. So communication, remember, it's a reflection of your firm and it needs to inspire your client to take action. So this is an important detail to remember. Step 7 is to run your pre-bills. So this is going to give you a preview of all of your invoices so you can check for formatting, for errors, omissions. And the nice thing about Rocket Matter pre-bills over other software packages is that pre-bills are high fidelity. They accurately depict the balances of your matters as if the pre-bill were an actual invoice. So no debits are created on your matter ledgers when a pre-bill is run, and you can run that pre-bill for a single matter, a single client, for all of your open matters through the batch billing capability. If you've got multiple attorneys at the firm, you can break it down even further and just run one attorney's matters in that batch. So very configurable. Then the next thing you want to do is set up recurring billing or payment plans for AFAs or clients that are behind. So after you run those invoices, there may be clients that you want to get set up with a payment plan if they can't afford to pay you right away, or you can set them up on a recurring billing. And this is most effective for recurring retainers. So if you have a flat $2,500 monthly for services, you can set up that recurring billing plan to run an invoice and automatically collect payment from your client's credit card or from their bank account using eCheck. So the ledger will reflect which invoices were generated and which clients have paid. If the payment fails, you'll receive a payment failure email so you can follow up with that client about those. And the payment plans will go through that as well, but it's really great for clients with outstanding balances and getting them to pay in increments that they can actually afford. So if you've got any questions about anything we've talked about so far, definitely go ahead and put your questions in the question widget. So we will go through collections best practices, and Adam's definitely going to help that along. So let's talk about rules for collections, and this starts with your initial agreement. So you need to make sure you're setting expectations regarding payment terms, when invoices are due, and what happens when invoices are unpaid. If you continue to work for a client when they have not paid their bills, you're setting a message that you work for free. And you don't. Attorneys are not supposed to be lenders to their clients, and you need to make sure that you lay out those expectations and then also set a date that invoices are past due, and then consider using interest and discounts to incentivize payments. So interest would work as it would for, a credit card or things like that where something's being financed, to penalize clients essentially for paying late. The discounts will incentivize your clients to pay early because you may be offering them 5% or 10% off their bill if they pay within the first 7 days of receiving it. Or some of our customers do a loyalty discount. So if a client has been with them for more than a certain number of years, or they continue to bring new business to the firm, they will give them a loyalty discount on all of their matters of something like 3 or 4%. So those things add up, and they do mean a lot to your clients, so they will incentivize payment. And then consider designating milestones to call customers regarding outstanding invoices. So something like 2 days before the due date, 1 week past due, 2 weeks past due. You really don't want things to get to that 30-day, 45-day mark. And this gets really scary for, firms that do heavy litigation or criminal defense, and you actually have to make an appearance in court and a client still owes you money. That's not a great position to be in. So think about the phone calls that might happen, especially if you're using interest and discounts. Those calls may change to, hey, this is your last day to save 5% on your bill. How would you like to pay that bill today? Or today is the last day to take care of your balance in the amount of $2,000 without accruing the interest charge of $200. How would you like to take care of that today? It changes the conversation because you're saying, I'm saving you money here, or I'm paying you a courtesy call. Let's take care of that together. And if you guys have any other ideas about how to collect and anything that's worked for you, definitely share them in the questions widget, and we'll share them with the group as well. So Adam, have you ever heard of firms hiring a billing and collection specialist? Does that really work?
Yes, I mean, I have heard of them doing that. I mean, it's good to have someone that's going to be specializing in that just by itself. It takes the pressure off of the lawyers and anybody else in the firm that would be normally doing that. So it gives them more time to be able to focus more on their practice than rather just billing itself.
Yeah, and I've heard from a lot of attorneys that that ask is super uncomfortable. You know, you want to be focused on the advocacy part of it and not necessarily on, late payment or a client being behind on invoices. So having somebody that has some experience with this, or this is their only job, is a good thing. You can hire a full-time client service specialist that will deal with some of this billing stuff. It will also make sure that the client is feeling that warm, fuzzy touch. And that will increase the likelihood of them paying because they're getting their bills on time. They have somebody that's checking in to see that there's value in the invoice that they're receiving. And they're going to be the ones to deliver the warm and fuzzies, but also could serve as an intermediary. If a person calls in and wants to talk to you, one of your clients, and the receptionist gets them, pulls their name up in your system and notices that they have a past due invoice, the line of communication should go from that receptionist to your client service specialist, who will say, hey, I know you want to get in contact with the attorney, but I saw that you have this outstanding balance on your account. I just wanted to see how you wanted to take care of that today. And then I'd be happy to pass you on to Attorney Smith. So they can really be that liaison to make sure that your collections are up to par. You can also hire a part-time virtual assistant to maybe take care of some of these things and follow up with these people. You can also hire a part-time billing assistant that comes in a few days a month during billing time and through one of those milestone events that we talked about, within that first week that the bills are due, 2 weeks before the due date, past the due date, to make those follow-up calls on any outstanding billing. So Adam, if you only take paper checks, what does that say about your firm?
We may be stuck behind in that paper age. We want to be able to get into the digital age. We want to start being able to accept these digitally, electronically. It's not only going to help with collections, it's going to help the money get to you quicker as well. No lost checks in the mail. You know that they're verified and that they're going to clear.
Okay, that's a really good thing to know. The other thing about paper checks that may be putting you behind the times is that since 1974, the American Bar Association has approved attorneys accepting credit card payments for their fees. So in addition to accepting paper checks, you can also be taking credit cards and e-checks. So why is this a good thing to do, Adam?
I mean, increasing the options for your clients to be able to pay you is just going to, increase the ability for them to pay you in the first place.
Right.
I mean, if you're giving them a limited option to be able to pay you, whether it's by cash or check, maybe that client doesn't have that cash on hand. Maybe they don't have it in their bank account. Giving them the ability to pay by credit card, it's a very, very good idea. Plus, the clients can, get those benefits from using that credit card as well, whether that's the mileage or points or even cash back on those cards.
Okay, and I mean, it allows them to finance legal services.
Right.
A lot of times when somebody needs to hire an attorney, it's not something that they were expecting to have to do. And you, as their attorney, you're going to know their financial situation better than anyone. So this is a really great option to be able to offer them other ways to pay, but also getting the money in the door faster. We have seen a reduction in time to payment by over 21 days. So typically in a billing cycle, it would take you 30 days before you would actually see those first few payments coming in the door. With credit cards and e-checks and emailing those invoices and sending that secure payment link, your client has the ability to pay you with a credit card, with an e-check, from any device, anywhere, anytime. So that increases the convenience of it. And if you think about the age that we live in, people are doing a lot of their bill pay online. So why not also offer that service as a law firm? So with payment processing, Adam, what is the process for getting set up?
So we tried to streamline this process as much as we possibly can. I mean, the last thing anybody really wants to do is sit down, fill out a long application, have all of these questions asked. You know, we've definitely streamlined this. So it's a 10-minute application. We ask for your firm information. We ask for officer information. You know, some volume from what you have done previously in credit cards, cash, and checks, and that's really it. You know, the only thing we ask for after that is that we have those voided checks, be able to pass that through underwriting for verification. It really does only take 10 minutes. So it's a very simple process.
So it takes 10 minutes on the part of the attorney, and then how long before they're approved?
A typical approval will come back between 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
And then after that, we can get them set up inside of Rocket Matter.
Excellent. That's pretty quick. And then what's a base rate?
So I know this is a question that's asked all the time. I mean, you have all of these rates. I mean, any single credit card can have over 300 rates associated with it. So, I mean, just keeping that in mind, I mean, all of these rates that these companies do throw out, it really is the base rate that you're going to see that credit card hit. That credit card may not hit that rate, and that's where you're going to have this effective rate comes into play. Your effective rate is going to be your total volume and also your actual total fees. So that's what we try to lower, because your effective rate is going to include association fees. It's going to include your monthly fees for the gateway and so on. So that's what we really look at lowering, because that's the actual rate that you're paying, not that first rate that they tell you.
Okay. All right. That's really helpful. That's something that I did not know. And then how are processing fees collected?
So this is a question, once again, that's asked all the time because of the multiple banking that attorneys do need for the IOLTA and operating accounts. We don't want commingling of funds. We also don't want any type of fees coming out of the trust account. That's a very big thing. So what we've done is that our systems facilitate multiple banking. When your fees have to come out at the end of the month, we've set up a third account for you, to where it will actually keep track of all the fees that need to come out of the operating and the trust account. So at the end of the month, everything rolls up into one account, and all of the fees come out of the operating account. So there's no problem with having IOLTA and operating account on the same system.
Okay, I gotcha. And have you ever had any experiences where this has happened? I know you've got some previous experience in banking and
yeah, when money comes out, when fees come out of the IOLTA, whether it's processing fees in this line of work, or whether it was ordering checks and things coming out of the IOLTA account, there's a lot of suppression of letters. There's a lot of legal work that comes into play, because that money is not earned. That's still client money.
Right.
So you can't be paying out that money for something else.
So you've had your clients' backs, your attorney clients'
Of
backs.
course, always. I mean, that's something that we always have to watch out for, and that's something we pride ourselves on.
Excellent. That's good to hear. So how fast are payments posted?
So this is good. The fastest payments are posted is going to be next day. So you're going to
How do you make that happen?
So with our partner, who is our merchant processor partner, First Data, they allow us to offer that, which would be the next day funding. We just have to go in and adjust the cutoff time. That way we can give enough time for the system to close down and have that money in there when they wake up the next morning.
So what's the ideal cutoff date for?
The ideal cutoff time is around 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
Now this does not mean that you can't accept payments afterwards. I mean, considering you're going to have your clients paying invoices, they can pay it any time they want. So if they pay it after the 4:30 cutoff time, it'll just roll into the next day. That's
okay.
all.
That makes sense. And is it the same thing for e-checks?
So e-checks is a little bit different. Your normal clearing time for a check is between 5 to 7 days, depending on how large the check is, if there's funds on the accounts or not. We've actually cut that down to 3 days. So when we accept these checks electronically, we're cutting that down by a couple of days, as well as verifying that the funds are in those accounts.
That's excellent. So we had a couple of questions come in about surcharges and Someone said that passing on surcharge fees or credit card fees are not allowed in Colorado. Be careful for ABA rules on passing fees along. Most states don't allow that. Yeah, but there are states that do. And when we were building out this feature, funnily enough, this was something that we were weighing very heavily. And we also wanted to give our clients the ability to do that if their state allows it and all of that. You'll see a disclaimer in Rocket Matter too. Make sure you check your state's rules about passing on surcharge fees.
Correct. The only other thing that I do have to warn people out there about is that yes, we're held by the state rules, the ABA rules in those states, but we're all in the credit card processing. We're held by another association, and that's Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and Discover. They're the ones that lay the groundwork and the regulations behind this when you're passing on surcharges to your clients. There is a certain process you have to go through to be able to do this, and it's not a simple process, but we can guide you through it if we really need to. But the big thing is that there has to be a level playing field, and that means that you have to be able to surcharge debit cards and credit cards. And we all know Amex does not have debit cards. So if you were to want to go ahead and set up surcharges for your credit cards, you will no longer be able to accept American Express.
That's a good thing to know. Yeah, so we talk about this a little bit in our payment processing for lawyers ebook. We mentioned a settlement against Visa and MasterCard, talking about how this rule came about. So definitely do some research, take a look at that, and make sure that you're complying with all of those things. And then we're talking about convenience fees. So when can you charge a convenience fee for your customer?
I mean, the convenience fees, for credit cards, in my understanding, we're still going to fall underneath the fact that these are going to have to be checked and regulated as well. I'm always going to say go check with your state and then at least come to us and talk about trying to get these forms filled out.
For the card associations.
Exactly.
Okay.
For the card associations.
All right. I hope that was helpful. Okay. So give us some tips on choosing the right legal payment processor.
So this is a big question that I get asked because I do have a lot of clients who do use many other companies for collecting their legal fees. I'm not going to say those companies out loud. That wouldn't really be fair. But there are companies out there that do not allow for multiple banking and facilitate the IOLTA and operating accounts. The company that you're going to want to choose is going to understand the regulations around unearned funds and earned funds. That's the big part. Because like I said earlier, we don't want anybody having commingling of funds or anything else like that.
Okay. And then so when you assess whether LexCharge is a good fit for a law firm, you go through their workflow and how they're currently accepting payments.
Right. Whether they're going to be accepting payments only to operating or only to trust, how they process it on the back end, whether it's they do, one bulk transfer at the end of the month once everything is earned or, anything else like that.
Okay. And so what other offers do you have for your potential new clients that LexCharge is unique with?
So LexCharge, we offer the free assessments. We pride ourselves in the fact that, once we do talk to you, once we do go everything with you, once we show you all of the rates that you're going to be paying and make sure that you understand it, that you will go with us. So we are offering this service for free.
Okay.
And, we make sure that everything's fair.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's good stuff. So let's talk about the technology tools that we've been mentioning that will increase your billable time and collections. This webinar is co-sponsored by Rocket Matter and LexCharge, and I'm going to take you into a live demo that will show you how those two work together. So right now we are in a Rocket Matter dashboard. This is what it looks like when you log into Rocket Matter system. This is going to have everything that you need on a user level that you are in charge of. This user, her name's Sally. This is a fake law firm. She also happens to have administrative access. She is the main partner there. So she's going to also have access to firm billing, which will have the trust balance, any pending invoices invoicing and taxes, and then the pending total that will be billed if she were to run her bills today. She also has quick access to the number of hours she's billed today, yesterday, this week, or this month. And she can also drill down into this number to be able to see all of the activities that she's billed for today that made up that 6.3 hours. I mentioned that anywhere you see a dollar sign in Rocket Matter is an opportunity to bill as you work. So if you're already spending the time to put in a task for yourself in Rocket Matter, it's going to be really easy to be able to bill for that later. The task title then gets duplicated into the billing description. You can add to it because this billing description is what's going to go on your invoice. You can add the billing units here, click save, and that will go into your pending invoicing just like that. This is our multiple timers feature that I mentioned, where you can start running a timer. You can add in the matter that you're working on and add in a billing description. Phone call with client regarding deposition. I can't spell. And then we can go ahead and save this and it'll continue to run. And then this phone call is over, but before you have time to save it or update the time on it, another phone call comes in. So you can quickly click that little stopwatch there, start that new timer, and then add in the time for this one. Phone call with Nathan about child support dispute. Okay, you can save this. You can talk to Nathan, and at the end of the day, you can click on that little number that's right there and close out all your time, update the billing descriptions, and that's that. That's how you can close out your day and make sure that you're capturing the time as you're working it. The other thing that you can do from here is quickly add a time or expense, a cost, or a flat fee. So it's really easy for you to do in just a couple of clicks. You can also quickly from here mark an item as do not charge or non-billable. You can add tags to billable items so that you can search for them later in a grouping, which is great. You can quickly get to a matter, a client, a contact, or any activity by searching in our search bar here. So I'll go ahead and type in a client here, and we can get to Jake's matter just like that. So this is another example of how quickly you can get to things. So if Jake were to call in for the attorney, your receptionist can look him up and see that he's got a balance outstanding in the amount of $17.50. So she can pass him on to your client service rep or that middle person, or if they're the one that's going to take care of it, they can actually go in and say, hey, before I pass you on to the attorney, how can we take care of your balance today? If Jake says, you know what, I really can't afford to pay all that right now, but I can, maybe do like $50 a month, she can say, okay, if you can do $100 a month, I can put you on a payment plan. So he says yes, she just clicks on Matter Payments right here. And she can go into the Payment Plan tab, click on Next Steps. We can make the date of his first payment today, and it will hit his account on the 2nd of every month. If the payment fails, she wants to make sure that the attorney knows, and that she knows. So we can add both of them to get those emails in case the payment fails. And then we can charge him equal monthly payments, or he said he can do $100 a month. So we'll go ahead and put that in. Would you like to charge automatically? The ideal situation would be yes, so that you can put in his credit card information or e-check. To save some time here, I'm going to skip over that. And then where would you like to post funds? It's a good question, right? He has already had this money outstanding. You have earned it. So that can go straight to your operating. You could throw it in trust first if that's part of your process. Or you can do automatic accounting. And what that will do is if he's paying on these amounts and he ends up paying another amount while this plan is in effect, that money would go to trust if there was excess. So we'll click on operating here. And then we share invoices. So we can make sure that Jake is going to be getting the invoices here. If there's a third party that's going to be paying for this bill and you want to make sure that they get the invoices as well, you can make sure to add them to this so they get the invoices and receipts. Then we can review this plan, and it's going to break it down for you. It's going to give you the number of payments total in this breakdown over here. So it'll say number of payments 18. Why is that? Well, that last payment is going to be $50 because you owe $17.50. So it goes that deep to be able to make sure that you know when these payments are going to be happening. You can review it, make sure all the information is correct, and start the plan. And so now this plan is in effect. These are going to be scheduled. When he pays it successfully, this status will change to paid. And all of your summary details here will change as the plan goes along. So you'll be able to see the number of payments made, the payments remaining, the amount he's paid so far, the amount he has remaining. So if he ever calls in and says, hey, how much do I owe you on that payment plan again? You can tell him. And then if he says, you know what, I've got the money to be able to finish paying that off, you can stop the plan and take the rest of the money over the phone. So it's that simple. So just wanted to quickly illustrate that for you. Let's take a look at our settings section because I do want to show you where you can customize your invoice templates. And those invoice templates are here. Rocket Matter does have 6. And it's going to load our standard blue one for you. You can always download that invoice template and change any of this up, add your logo, all of that good stuff. If you don't have a tagline, you can just remove it. But we've got a ton of merge fields that are available to you. A good way to know if your form's working is you can come to the right here and you'll see that all of these are green. So that means all of them are good to go and then the proper format. So you can choose a different one here. These are the 6 we have pre-formatted, or you can also go in and add in your own. So it's really, really simple process. The other thing that you can do from the settings section is to set up the taxes, interest rules, discounts, convenience fees, and we also have firm rules where you can pre-configure a billing rate and access levels for people who are in specific roles. So if you have one billing rate for partners, another billing rate for associates, another billing rate for paralegals, you can assign roles to particular people in your firm and not have to go in and set those individual billing rates. You can also see what everyone's rate is across matters. So you can quickly adjust those if you do a rate hike at the beginning of the year, or if you have a new matter with someone and you want to see what you billed before, you can quickly access that. Here's where you configure Rocket Matter Payments emails. So this is the payment email that your client will receive. We do have default language in here, but if you ever wanted to change that, like if you just wanted to accept credit cards and not online checks, you can change the payment link text to say, please click here to pay using your credit card. Anytime you want to add in a new merge field, like if you wanted to say, thanks in advance for your prompt attention, and use the client's first name again, all I did was click client's first name and put the cursor where I wanted that to go, and it's right there. So you can save this email template, and this is how it'll go out to your client. So let me show you how easy that is to do. Let's go to the Crow forklift accident. And we've got an outstanding balance of $100. You probably want to invoice them when it's a little bit more than this, but in the event that you want to get that payment in the door or you're wrapping up the matter, you can quickly send out that invoice. So we can click on the total here and see what this is for. So we can invoice this matter. This client is already set up with email invoice sharing, and the emails are going to go to his inbox. So we will not pre-bill this, we'll invoice it, and we'll send it in a PDF. We can click next. We can transfer trust funds, or we can say to transfer these later. Don't do anything, I'll manage these payments manually. You can do that too. We can click next. Are you sure you want to run the invoice? You click yes, you process the invoice. So once these invoices are processed, you can go back to your matter billing. And in the meantime, your client will get an automatic email invoice. So I just went to his inbox. He can take a look at the invoice here. He'll see that he has $100 now due. There's money in the trust account. Maybe that's earmarked for something else. And then he can click here to pay using credit card. Notice that e-check language is gone because we modified that. So this is what his payment screen would look like. So he can pay with credit card or e-check, and we can go ahead and put in some information here. So we'll do 123 Main Street. Smallville, Ohio. Okay. And then we can go ahead and put in his credit card information, put in that expiration date, click review, and then it reviews the payment details with the client. We can click pay. It'll process that. And then they will receive a successful, payment successful. And then once that's processed, he's going to get a receipt in his inbox automatically, so you're not going to have to do that. And then when you go into Rocket Matter, you can go into excuse me for 1 second. You can go into the Matter dashboard and take a look at the Matter ledger balance. That's now 0. So that's been invoiced and it's been paid. It's going to automatically go to your Matter ledger and note it for you. So it's that simple. The other thing I want to show you before we get back to the presentation is that you can enable the invoice sharing through email. We saw how that works. We saw that he got his payment receipt, so that's one less thing that you do. It does automatically adjust the ledger, so you don't have to do that as well. It's taking away those small admin tasks that you were doing before and allowing you more time to actually bill. So that's all I'm going to show you here. And I'm going to go ahead and get us back into the presentation and see if there are any questions that you guys have. Let's see. Someone says, one trick. Ooh, I think this is probably for any billing issues. Blame the non-existent bookkeeper. My bookkeeper is screaming at me because your account is due and that's her job, you know, worrying about the money. Can you please take care of that? Okay, I like that trick. Okay, does the recurring billing post as a line item expense on the invoice? If so, how is that line item handled once the payment is made? So with the recurring billing, if you have it set to automatically ding the credit card or do e-check, with the credit card, the payment's automatic and it will note that money is funded. With the e-check, our system actually tracks the money's process through the clearinghouse. Yes.
Right. So I mean, everything's going to be tracked through Rockman as well as the gateway itself. If they need to be able to pull that back.
Right, and so that won't show as being posted until it's actually processed all the way through the system, and then you can transfer funds accordingly. Can you get a list of all of Jake's matters? Yes. So if you were to look up the client, you can also see everything that they have. Like I'll show you an example really quickly if we can. I'll search for Sky Brothers here. And you'll see that they have all of these matters. So if I were to go to their contact record, you'll also see all of the matters that they have listed here. And any related contacts to them will also be listed. But yes, you can see all of the matters that they have listed and the client's trust ledger, all of the monies that they've paid you so far that you've got holding there. Okay. What is the name of the website that we're on right now? We were just on rocketmatter.com, and that is how you access Rocket Matter from any device, anywhere, anytime. It is cloud-based practice management software, and so you can get to that from your mobile device, from your tablet, from any web browser. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed where we access recurring payments. No problem. Let me go ahead and take you through that. When you're in a matter, like we'll go back to Crow Forklift here. Once you have Rocket Matter Payments enabled, you'll have this Matter Payments tab here that you can then access these two plans, whether it's recurring billing, which would be that flat rate every month, or that payment plan for anything that's outstanding. I've seen a lot of clients do this when they know that they've got a flat fee Matter and the client asks to be able to pay that over time. They can charge that, they can invoice them for the $5,000 and then split it using the payment plan. So that's another way to get that to work for you as well. All right, and we've got one more question that just came in. What makes your rates competitive compared to other credit card processors? And what's the expected tiers of fees for law pay services?
Well, I mean, compared to other credit card processors, not only do we understand the legal field, but it's also the relationship that we do have with our major processor, which would be First Data, and that's always going to determine what type of fees and structures that you do have. Now, the fees for law pay services, we are competitive with them. So as soon as we do have those statements, we always do try to beat those rates and give the best customer service when it comes to that.
Okay, excellent. Is there a way to send clients updated invoices or statements when they're only paying a portion of their account to remind them every month without having to invoice again? Erica, so you can include that in your batch billing, right? They can get that invoice again, even if there are no current charges. There's a way for you to toggle that on. But we are developing a feature that will take care of that for you in a more succinct way, and we'll give you a little bit more options for that. So definitely look out for that. We're pretty excited about that. Let's see. How difficult is it to make changes to what's been programmed? I was with a public agency which bought a lease contract management program, and both initial setup and making changes were extremely difficult. Definitely give us a call and we can talk to you more about your individual case with that. We do make migration as easy as we can make it, but there's going to be some work on your part as well. We don't know your data the way that you do, right? So we'll definitely need your assistance with that, but we definitely help our clients to make those migrations as easy as possible. All right, with that, we are going to start closing up here. So you can sign up for a free trial of Rocket Matter, no credit card required. You can get a full demonstration of the features that I show you and so much more. Rocket Matter's got it going on. So you can call us at 866-710-1845 to talk to one of our very talented award-winning account specialists. And then LexCharge is offering a free rate analysis. As Adam mentioned, you can contact Adam at lexcharge.com. If you're using a current payment processor, you can definitely get that free analysis to see if we can save you any money. Anything else you want to add, Adam?
No, I mean, yeah, just make sure that, you just email me at adam@lexcharge.com and we'll make sure to take care of you.
Yeah, I think we need like 2 months of statements, right? And then we can...
2 months of statements, and I'll do a breakdown of the analysis and make sure they understand what they're paying.
Awesome. All right, folks, thanks for joining us today. You can contact Adam at adam@lexcharge.com. You can contact me at nefer@rocketmatter.com. We'd be willing to work with any of you to tighten up your billing processes. We love talking about this stuff. Our customer success managers are extremely talented at working through your workflows with you and making sure you're taking as much advantage of your practice management system as you can. Thanks for joining us. We will send the recording and the slides out tomorrow through email for all of our attendees. So look out for those if you want to take a dive back into this. Have a great rest of your day.